If you run a business, you've probably felt it. Cybersecurity just keeps getting harder. More alerts, more threats, and more stress. But more companies are looking for ways to prevent attacks before they ever break through. Today, we're talking with Mike Denning and Bill Mabon from Trinity Cyber about what's making the biggest impact. Glad to have you both here with me, Mike and Bill.
Thank you.
Kenna, nice to see you.
Mike, many businesses are feeling overwhelmed by terms like advanced threat defense and zero trust. From your view, what are the biggest cybersecurity challenges companies are dealing with?
I'd really put it into two categories. I think most companies feel overwhelmed with the volume and complexity of threats. It's just the ever-changing threat landscape is very hard to keep up with. Part of that is an outcropping of AI. AI is able to make subtle changes in attack vectors and threats that can help them intentionally slip traditional defenses. And like most good software development organizations, they have a QA department they can detect what type of system you're running and they can work their way around it. So that's the first set. The second is just the volume, right? The volume of false positives leads to a lot of challenges with organizations where they end up getting a blind spot. They are so used to ignoring alerts that it hurts their ability to detect the things they should really pay attention to. And then finally, just an overall shortage of security headcount and teams that are trained and available to do and find that needle in the haystack.
Now, Bill, with all these tools on the market, some companies still feel like they're always playing catch up. Why do you think that's happening?
Kenna, let me play a little game with you and our audience. When you hear the security acronyms for various product categories like NDR, XDR, EDR, MDR, what's the common thread with each of those? They end in that DR part of the acronym, detection and response. And the reason that we think every customer we speak with is so frustrated with security today is because they are so heavily invested in what the industry has pushed on them. This detection and response workflow, which most organizations do not have the budget to support. It's very, very expensive. It's complex. People don't have the headcount like Mike was talking about. That is a huge frustration. Our mentality is protection. We're very much a protection first, where the detection and response is instantaneous. I know we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but that's why people are so frustrated.
Very insightful. Thanks, Bill. Mike, I know mid-sized companies especially face unique challenges compared to large enterprises. Where do you see those pain points showing up the most for mid-sized businesses?
One of the interesting things is mid-market businesses are a lot of the same attack vectors, threats that they use on large enterprises, they're using on mid-market enterprises. The difference is mid-market enterprises don't really have the same level of resources to be able to build that defense and combat that. The other thing is mid-market teams, you have a lot of people wear a lot of different hats, and they're already really stretched thin. So a lot of this alert-based cybersecurity tools that generate a lot of these threats are very challenging and resource intensive to investigate. And when over 30 to 40% of those tend to be false positive, it makes it even harder to find which ones you need to be paying attention to.
Mike, not every company has the same level of risk tolerance. How does risk tolerance factor into the decisions companies are making around cybersecurity?
Yeah, I think in particular, risk is a great area to focus on. Mid-market businesses tend to operate with a little less margin, a little more challenged, and ransomware for a mid-sized business could be an existential threat for a company. It's even more important that solutions help reduce that risk exposure and at the same time reduce the operational burden on the mid-market company. And that's really the genesis of Trinity as a company. We're built to solve that active cyber defense, built for enterprises, but very easily deployed and available to mid-market companies.
Businesses want more than just another alert or dashboard. Trinity Cyber is redefining that experience. Bill, Trinity Cyber invented full content inspection, or FCI, to make zero trust principles more accessible. Can you explain, in simple terms, what that means and how it works?
Absolutely. And let me take that in two parts. Let's talk about zero trust first. And there's so much marketing blather about zero trust. But if we're talking about where zero trust started conceptually, and I think with, very well thought out intentions, three hallmarks of zero trust. One is principle of least privilege. Another is this concept of, never trust, always verify. And a third is continuous monitoring and validation. Those are all principles that are part of what we're delivering with full content inspection. When you think about, never trust, always verify, well, are people verifying the traffic and all the flows that they have coming into their organization? That's actually something that we do. Getting into the second part of your question about what exactly is full content inspection. We inspect every single flow. So this is not like your traditional IPS packet inspection or deep packet inspection. This is actually deeper, okay? Because we are for the most part don't know Trinity Cyber yet because we are a young company. Despite that, we are protecting over 1.5 trillion files per day, okay? So we do that in real time. This is real-time inspection to the end user, to the customer. They have no perception of any kind of lag or latency with the inspection that we're doing because we are very high speed with this. We have AI augmentation to things that we are doing that helps to accelerate what we're doing and to enhance the customer experience. And because we are operating in this very precise fashion, you look at the old IPS, right? People would very commonly not turn on the strongest protections on their IPS because they would end up breaking their workflows. They'd end up breaking business processes, right? Which are mission-focused organizations, whether they're in government or they're retail or healthcare, it doesn't matter. Everybody's got a mission. And we can't break the mission. Uptime is everything for our customers. So it's very important when we deliver our security, it's not just that preventative notion, but that we can surgically remove malware from live traffic and let the customer continue with the work that they have to get done to be profitable.
Now, Mike, let's go to you for this next question. One of the key things companies are looking for is how to simplify security without losing protection. How does this approach help organizations cut down on things like alert fatigue and resource strain?
Let me just piggyback. I love Bill's passion, Let me just piggyback a little bit on what Bill was saying. In particular, we view the taking this active preventive approach as one of our key differentiators. And the idea of full content inspection, not only is it inbound traffic, but it's also outbound. Really critical when you're looking for threats, 0 days, and the combating threat actors that are able to quickly morph. But what's so critical in this that Bill touched on is that it actually removes threats in live traffic without disrupting the business. Usually when you think about how firewalls or traditional security things work, you block something. When you detect something, you just block it. This is the difference between a hatchet and a scalpel. Trinity Cyber's full content inspection is a scalpel. It actually removes the malicious code and lets the rest of the code or the work stream, the traffic go by. And so it's really helps with business continuity. But when you go back to your original question around alert fatigue, one of the things that we really pride ourselves is that Trinity Cyber's technology has a less than 0.01% false positive. And when people really experience that firsthand, especially experienced security practitioners, they really get to understand how valuable that is. As an industry, the security industry is on this block, detect, and respond. And it's how quickly can I respond to that? Well, we're responding at the speed of AI, at machine speed, at line speed, whatever you want to call it. But we actually automate the remediation in real time. And that's something that when people start to feel the benefits, that the operational benefits of less systems to patch, less systems to rebuild, the lack of downtime because their users are not they're not having to rebuild their laptops and what have you. It really unleashes a lot of time for the security practitioner to focus on managing an overall risk for the company and not really responding to alerts that are just end up being that resource drain that you mentioned.
Now, Bill, to make this real, it helps to hear how full content inspection plays out in practice. Can you share an example of how FCI stopped a threat early before it could cause some serious damage?
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of damage, what I'm going to share with you is the potential that was for reputational damage to one of our customers. Yes, there's financial repercussions, which we know sometimes in the mid market actually puts organizations out of business. So the risk is real, and it's you know, but there's reputational concerns as well. We've had multiple customers which have been subject to so-called mage cart attacks with skimming on e-commerce and retail aspects of our customers' operations, where we've been able to allow the commerce to occur, right, without their customers getting compromised. And imagine you're shopping on a website, right? And then you get a notice 6 months later about how your identity was compromised because of a vendor that you used. Are you ever going to use that vendor again? Right? It's just a horrible experience. We want to protect our customers from that. Mike was talking about how I'm passionate about this, and he's equally passionate. He's more of a cool as a cucumber kind of guy. But between both of us, we've been in the cybersecurity industry before it was called cybersecurity, for over 40 years combined for both of us. And this is different, right? What we're doing is different, and we're passionate about it because we really care about it. And the people we work with, they are mission-oriented people. This is a different kind of organization, and that's, really something that we want to share with the world.
This approach clearly works differently than most companies are used to. So let's discuss what it means for businesses day to day. Mike, when companies make the shift from reacting to active cyber defense, what's the biggest change you see in how they think about security?
It's a good question. I think I'll kind of harken back to a little bit of some of the earlier events. Once you're unburdened, right? Once you're unburdened to going after those alerts over and over again, and that endless cycle of alert and response, um, it's important that it really frees up the focus of the security organization to really start building systems and interacting and adding value to the business. And a lot of our customers have commented on that. It's going from a defensive posture to true prevention, and it's really a mindset shift that customers that have experienced us over longer periods of time really start to build business process around how we help enable them to do that. And we have some interesting capabilities where you're able even to go deep into what's called PCAP and look at the traffic flow and a lot of that information and really get some good intelligence out of that. It's probably a longer conversation, but I think that's the main mind shift that I see.
Bill, like Mike mentioned, beyond mindset, this must also take a lot off people's plates operationally. Have you seen this approach change the day to day experience for IT teams, especially smaller ones?
Absolutely. Our customers say that we are an extension of their team. Many of them are not passionate about cybersecurity like we are. They've got other jobs to do, whether it is making sure that the voice over IP system is working, the printers are working, or troubleshooting and being able to have the bandwidth to actually help their users when their users need the help, right? They want to be able to offload and simplify while simultaneously lowering security cost and enhancing security posture. So that's where we think we can help them.
Bill, I love to hear about results. I'm curious, after making this switch, what's the most immediate difference companies notice?
Confidence. The number one thing that customers come away with is they can talk to their board, they can talk to their boss about what they're doing and how it is costing less than all of these DR solutions that weren't performing for them, and how they're getting stronger efficacy. And instead of being on their back heels in this very defensive crouch, they love the confidence of actually being able to go on the offensive. And, I'm not talking about offensive cyber operations type of thing. I just mean the offensive mentality that somebody has their back from a security perspective, and they can get on with the other IT and security things that they need to do to be operating in a more strategic fashion instead of a reactive fashion.
And before we wrap, Mike, many leaders feel stuck in reaction mode, kind of like what Bill said, on cybersecurity. What's your advice, and what's one key takeaway?
So my advice is get off the treadmill. That's my advice, is that the treadmill of alert, reaction, whack-a-mole is not a fun place to be. There are technologies out there that are being enabled by AI, like ours. Um, the difference, I think, with ours is that we are tested at scale and at volume, and as Bill pointed out, well over 2 million users have used this technology, and as it's coming in to be more commercially available in the mid market, it's really a powerful tool that we've had in the lab for a couple of years, and it's just now becoming commercially available. And so, what I would say is really evaluate your tools. Are you getting true value out of them? Are you getting true business intelligence out of them? And so, my kind of last takeaway is like that combination of power and speed. Look for tools that give you your time back. It's one of the most valuable resources in a mid-market company for IT and security professionals. And it's a thing that at Trinity Cyber we pride ourselves on. And we'd love to work with companies out there that would love to see it in action.
Such great advice, and that's why more companies are shifting to prevention enabled by full content inspection. Thank you, Mike and Bill, for joining me here today. Such great insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To learn more, visit the website on your screen. For the Channel Company, I'm Kenna Johnson.